To Be Hero X is a really involved show with not only a complex narrative, but some of the most impressive world building I've seen in an anime in a really long time. The season finale of To Be Hero X, while certainly visually stunning and an amazing closing to an amazing series, did leave me a little bit confused on initial watch. So if you're a bit puzzled like I was, want to see new details you may have missed, or just want to hear my take on things, you are in the right place. So hello everybody and welcome back to the ultimate tier list. Wait, I guess the series doesn't have a name yet. Welcome to the ultimate breakdown. We'll see how I feel about that in a week. Alright, so the episode begins and we immediately have something we need to talk about. The opening sequence gives us the faces of Lin Ling, Isol, and Hero X, each of course marked with their respective Who the f*** is Hundian? Okay. To Be Hero X immediately going for the jugular. I have no idea who this is. I looked it up and I didn't find much in way of meaning, so I really only have two interpretations of this. This could be the old Isol's real name, since they are talking about how rankings have been upset in this nude broadcast. They might be talking about the past, or maybe Isol has actually been replaced again. I really can't give you a good explanation for this until season 2, because this is literally the first time I can remember hearing this name in the show. So if you guys have any idea of what this might mean, feel free to leave it down in the comments, but either way, I'm not sure that it entirely matters since I doubt Isol will be taking off his mask. But I still felt it worth pointing out. Next, they talk about the Ruins incident, Furman's retirement, and Smile's death. Note that this is actually the first time we've ever gotten a look at 3D Smile. The broadcast then shifts to Ahu's rise, Nice's suicide, and Moon's murder. So keep in mind that this means that the gloves are officially off in way of everything that happened in the Nice arc. Previously, the public didn't know the details of the situation because Lin Ling never told anyone besides Rek that Nice killed himself. So presumably when everything came to light about the Lin Ling Nice swap, Lin Ling just straight up let the press have a field day. Now we get to a pretty big reveal here. Lin Ling actually ends up working with Treeman, and I want to emphasize that they say working with. So I do want to take this as Lin Ling hasn't actually signed with Treeman. Either way, it may be shocking to hear since we know good and well that pretty much all hero agencies are downright manipulative or evil. But when you think about it, this is actually well within the realm of possibility. We already know that Shand is actively trying to remove Isol from the rankings and take down Rock. That's what Nice was for. Considering that Lin Ling obviously would want his get back for Moon, and Shan has already been actively plotting against Isol and trying to get himself a hero in the top 10, this works out perfectly for both of them. Does this mean that Shand actually wants to get justice for Moon? Fuck no. This man is evil. But either way, when we connect the dots a little bit, we can start to see why it makes sense. Now we see Dragon Boy officially going to court for killing Smile, but he ends up getting released and Dragon Boy is, yes, officially rank 3. Okay. Are you guys ready? It's time for what we've been waiting for. X is officially here. The very first thing we see him doing is counting down the seconds until he can clock out. X is now officially my spirit animal. I also want to talk about something that happens here that I overthought a lot, so I just want to clarify so you guys don't do the same. When X's manager walks in, X goes to clock out. This employee next to him actually remarks though, why does he get to leave? And in response, the manager is like, huh? Someone left? This isn't X doing some weird identity or teleporty thing with his powers or something of that nature. This line is literally just meant to emphasize the fact that X's true identity is so bland that nobody would even notice him leaving. Kind of like an Emmett from the Lego movie thing. Just wanted to say that because I overthought this to the brink of insanity and felt real dumb for doing that. We see X at his vending machine. Animation reuse intensifies. He buys his skewers and then goes home on the train. We can, if you actually slow this footage down, see the 3D designs of Ghostblade, Cyan, Queen, and the Johnnies for the first time on the side of the train, even before they're revealed at the end. And then we get this scene. Oh god, it is not fun to watch. Alright, jumping to Ahu and Zack. This conversation confused me a little bit initially, but it basically boils down to this. Zack tells Ahu about the plot to kill X, and Ahu basically doesn't believe that they can pull it off. Ahu, since he knows X's identity, basically intends to mercy kill X before he can even see him coming. But then he saw him coming. X traps Ahu in pixel art. So I guess not only can X change the animation style, he can change it to whatever one he wants. Billy, I just want to remind you that you guys did this to yourselves. We also finally get the use of the new type of hero song to X kicking ass. Literally. You know, that was actually kind of a lot of information. Here's a little compilation of X doing his thing for a break. Alright, now that that's over, let's get back into it. We find out that Rock was the one who figured out X's identity. How he did that from just this is confusing, but whatever, just roll with it. Something you might have not noticed is that Zack is actually playing the same game that little Johnny was playing in his arc. You can vaguely make out Vortex and Sheng in the back of the screen. Next, the commission is all like, he hid his identity, he's a risk. Like, can't a man just Oriflamme in peace, like what? And now we get our first assassin, which is actually someone we've seen before. This guy is in the Nice arc, the one that got caught in the tunnel, so yeah. I made a short going over this, so I'm not gonna spend too much time here, but Zack actually drops a really useful bit of information here.
Leave a comment, like and subscribe.
Oh, wow. I mean, Zack from FOMO, guys, one of the top hero agencies, so I mean, you kinda gotta, because if he says... Okay, I'll stop. Okay, this part really is just X being X, so I'm gonna blitz through some details. He pulls the car out of the billboard, we get introduced to some more assassin heroes, we see X's 7 o'clock broadcast sign, which I guess is going to have to wait until season 2. And the reason why this girl takes Ahu out of the car is because she's with FOMO and so is Ahu. Also, this girl is this girl, she's just dreaming and I'm assuming that's her power. Okay, moving on to the drinks. We kind of already figured as much, but X kind of lays out the fact that the Hero Commission works with the hero agencies to help control the hero world. Now this this conversation is really interesting. We finally get the meaning of X's chess symbolism laid out for us. And at least from what I'm picking up, the whole point of this conversation is that the heroes in this world truly do not matter. They hold no power, and almost all of the moves made by the heroes in this series are really just these massive corporations playing 4D chess. He also points out the theme that we've seen since episode 1. With enough trust, anyone can become a hero, and from X's perspective, it's more like anybody can be a pawn. But at the same time, with enough trust, you can be put onto the game board to begin with. There is also this brief exchange where X calls out Ahu for taking all the credit for defeating Phobia Clone, to which Ahu responds that it's his job to protect Shinya. X retorts that the commission was also made to protect people. He's basically making the analogy that just like Ahu, the commission made a grab for power so that they could protect the people. Ultimately, the point X is raising is protection at what cost, as we can clearly see that Ahu's grab for power led him down the road to be willing to assassinate X, and of course the commission follows a similar tale. Now we get to the part of the video that I'm sure most of you came here for, because this scene is kind of confusing. Firstly though, I want to point out something that you might have not entirely processed. X here teleports him and Ahu to a place beyond space and time, or what I'm assuming is meant to represent the 4th dimension. That opens up so many cans of worms, but that's not why we're here. Just keep in mind that this is likely confirmation that X can actually time travel. Anyways, X launches into a story about Zero, which I will just briefly touch over this part since this is pretty straightforward. Zero was a hero before the commission was established, which basically meant that there was no one to limit how much the people trusted him. This trust effectively turned him into a god. He then ended up killing heroes who defied his will, and slowly his trust turned into fear. What X reveals to us is basically what we already know, and that is that Rock carries on Zero's legacy. Over the years, Rock watched the hero world rise, and eventually decided to make a move in it to begin the resurrection of Zero. We see Rock working with FOMO and then using FOMO's resources to find an ESOL fan that would make a good candidate to replace the old ESOL. We can actually also see this guy who was an ESOL fan in the ESOL arc, so Rock literally looked across the entirety of ESOL's fanbase. I'm personally going to count this as a win in my book for theories by the by, just in case you were curious, because this basically confirms what I was saying, you know? We then see how Rock's interference with things on behalf of Zero became a catalyst for disaster. Everything that we've seen in the series is basically one big butterfly effect. Also, I want to point out that this recreation of Moon's death, Ghostblade wasn't actually here. This little exchange was a recreation of the Ruins incident by evidence of Ghostblade having the exact same knife he chose for the Ruins incident. It would also make no sense why Ghostblade would also be on this island. Now we get to see a montage of everything in the series so far, and at the end of it, X tosses Cyan the coin. Now my theory about this was that Lucky Cyan's luck summoned X to give her the coin so she could have the idea to make money in that way. I do also want to count this as a win in my book, but the scene is a little bit hard to interpret since we probably don't have all the details. What I'm going to say that this scene means is that X tossing Cyan this coin was literally him interacting with the chain of events caused by Zero, which is why he says that's when he thought his path as a hero had started. However, he then says that the seeds of cause and effect were planted long ago. Basically, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Cyan's power actually was what brought him here. I think what he's saying is that the chain of events that gave Cyan her powers brought him into the position to toss her the coin. It's confusing stuff, but that's the gist. Obviously, there are still a lot of details that we're missing here, but this is a breakdown, not a theory session. Ultimately, like he says, his point is that everybody is a chess piece on a board being played by fate. Okay, that's over now. Let's cool off a little bit with some minor details. We finally get a good look at the Zero card from the initial trailer, which is most likely her. Lin Ling's suit activates in 2D animation. Nice is back. I'll fucking address that at some point. Something a lot of people haven't pointed out is that Isol is not present, which likely means that this scene is happening as the tournament is about to start. There is also the possibility that Isol didn't make the cut because going off of this chart that the new opening shows us, Isol is ranked 10th and Linling is absent. Obviously we know that Linling is somewhere at the top of the polls, so what's going on here? Well, either Nice and Linling are being counted as the same, or maybe Isol secretly didn't make the top 10, but they still want him in the story. I'm not going to pretend like I know because it's honestly something we're going to have to wait until season 2 to figure out. And the last thing we see in the final episode is X teleporting onto the stadium and announcing that it is time to clock out. Which of course you can interpret in a whole bunch of different ways, but my personal interpretation of this is that X will actually not participate in this tournament. Take that as you will, or if you have any other theories, please feel free to comment them. So that is the breakdown of the To Be Hero X season finale. I have had so much fun with the show, and while it's unfortunate it's coming to an end, it was still an amazing experience. To everyone who went and liked, subscribed, commented, or even went beyond that and pre-saved the album, thank you, that literally means the world to me. My channel has been seeing a lot more success, but also a fear of mine is losing touch with the people who brought me here to begin with. Like, no joke, some of you have been here since like 500 subscribers. So I wanted to do something for you friends. On the release of this video, I'm going to be making a post called the OG Wall. So for all of you guys that have been here since the beginning, go and comment literally anything on that. I'll heart your comment and I will be keeping that list for when I really blow up in the future. Go fast though, because I will be cutting it off in a week. And there are some people, if I don't see there, I will be hunting down. Alright, and to wrap this up, I want to officially announce where the channel will be heading after To Be Hero X. So this is the verdict. Boom. Whatever I put on here, I decided. I am very much recording this voiceover in the past, so whatever I decide on, I don't know now. So I'm just gonna say, boom, that's what I decided on. But it looks like there is nothing left to be said. So with that, I bid you peace, my friends.